So, similar in a way to a video I made before called Why Video Games Suck Now, this is kind of like a sequel. Not really, it's more about TV. It was just something that came to my mind while I was watching some YouTube just a second ago, and I was like, you know what? At least before I forget, let me put it on camera. So, we all know that today society is a bit half and half. You got one side of the internet who just completely hates certain things, maybe for certain reasons, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Sometimes you get people that do love stuff, but it's just berated by that same other side, but then gets labeled from the other people that it's actually their fault. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is sort of a video relating to the series, if you may not have heard or maybe not have seen, which I don't blame you, is The Acolyte. So I was watching a little review on why The Acolyte failed, why the season 2 was canceled, all the stuff with Amanda Steinberg, Leslie Headland, Bob Iger, George Lucas, and as I was watching, I was getting some thoughts, like how when if a show fails now, it is not the studio's fault. Hold me on a second. I'm not saying it's the studio's right; they are wrong, but sometimes I have a tendency to pause in between certain sentences, and it gets kind of heard in a different way, and I'm over explaining it. But basically, this was completely the studio's fault, but we're going to say an example that it wasn't. So, in their eyes, the studio failed because right wing people, racists, bigotry, and all other types of stuff was the cause of it, which it was not. It was shitty writing, shitty characters, changing the canon. Uh, Here's one line if you haven't seen or if you want to look it up. It completely explains why people hated this show. The power of one, the power of many, or something like that. The power of one, power of two, power of many. Some stupid shit that apparently turns the force into a woman or a type of new force, which is not how the force is supposed to work. And this gives you your abilities. You can be chosen by someone to get the force. It's not just you were born. Well, I wouldn't say technically original Star Wars Luke was born with it, but he was the chosen one's son. Of course, Anakin was the chosen one, so it kind of makes sense that Luke would end up getting uh, into this type of stuff. But when you're making a show like an Acolyte and you're doing some cringy scene with just and yet the whole entire show seems to be more mainly just women focused, which there's no problem with that, but if you're going to do that, at least make some of them entertaining to watch. Everyone feels one note. Everyone The Jedis are bad, the Sith are the good people. That's another mistake that I don't know why current Star Wars seems to want to do. The whole point of Star Wars is the battle between evil and good. There are people who are evil who want to destroy the world and use the Force in terrible ways, maybe not just for personal issues, but for a villain or their master's request. But most Siths aren't bad, yes. But that doesn't mean that because they're bad, they all now have to just become mislabeled people, which is what I sort of talked about in why video games suck, is that we're trying to turn villains into people that you care about, and it's become every single villain that they want you to care about. There's not actually any good villains that you actually are just like, yeah, I hate this guy. I can't wait for them to defeat him, but in a good way, in a way of just like, I can't wait to see the end of this show to see how they deal with this man or his trauma or his backstory into a great wrap up at the end. Disney doesn't know how to do that. At least not anymore. They do that. I know they can. They just don't want to because they're being told by all these other people that you have to put this in it, you have to put that in it, you have to say this message, you have to do that message, you have to mix it all together into these stories that people grew up with. Whose idea was it to do this to Star Wars in the first place? And I know there's a lot of theories with the whole Bob Iger and, of course, obviously Kathleen Kennedy having a huge hand in Star Wars' downfall, which I heard she's supposed to be stepping down, but she's still gonna be at Disney. So for any of you that had hope that Star Wars may come back after Kennedy steps down, you're probably wrong because she's not leaving. She's just leaving Lucasfilm, from what I heard. And then we had Amanda Steinberg releasing a diss track, which I just saw on my TV. I remember seeing it when it first came out, but it's so much funnier seeing it again after all the backlash. And now that the world is changing just a little bit, not a lot, but a little. And we're slowly getting back to what the world was. I feel that after I'm pretty sure most people can talk about it now. I usually hear about it most of the time. After COVID had happened, the whole world just got completely flipped upside down. And I think it was because so many people were just inside of their houses, not really allowed to leave outside. Some people didn't like that. Some people were more accustomed to it, and it shaped their whole life. That I think by the time COVID ended, so many people had so many different like ideas, looks, and stuff. And I think a lot of that does have to deal with social media. You can go outside and talk to people and have normal conversations more than half the time. Sometimes you'll get people that are just assholes. But if you're just online for the whole period of COVID and you're just seeing the whole other side of the people on the internet, you're going to see, hear, read, all types of stuff that you think may be real or true, and it's all just a big old piece of crap or a scam to make you believe in things that you didn't think you would. Some true, some false. I feel like most of it was false because we've all seen it happen within the last 4 years, and we've seen what happened at the beginning of this year to the result of the last 4 years. Now, I know that's a touchy subject, but I think it's true, and that's just my opinion, is that 4 years ago, before the big pandemic happened, I feel like we were fine. Movies were fine, games were fine. After COVID happened, it seemed like we got filtered hard. Lara Croft is now gay, I think, in a cartoon, which I'm not going to say that I grew up on Tomb Raider, but my family who had video games had Tomb Raider games. I've played the original 1 to 3. I've played Angel of Darkness. I've played Legend. I've played the reboot. I've played the Anniversary Edition. I've played a ton of Tomb Raider. I know Tomb Raider. I know Lara Croft. She is a not. Oh no, that's. I was about to make myself look stupid. I was gonna say archaeologist, which is kind of true. She still goes after stuff into tombs, raiding. The whole point of the name, Tomb Raider. But it seems like when once we started getting like reboots and stuff of all these characters that we grew up on, they're just watered down. They are one-note characters who only seem to have the connection of what their job is. Like the reboot of Tomb Raider, yes, you could still find caves and other stuff. You didn't really find tombs as often, so you still kind of got a bit of her adventure side. But it's not Lara Croft. It is entirely not Lara Croft. They give you characters and her saying it's Lara Croft, but it ain't my Lara Croft. It is definitely not my Lara Croft. And I heard she's supposed to be getting a brand new game, I think, which is supposed to bring it back to the roots of Tomb Raider. Which if I'm gonna be completely honest with you right now, I think it's complete bullshit. I don't think this game is going to be back to the roots of Tomb Raider. They've shown us multiple times that they just don't care about Lara Croft, honestly. I mean, we've seen what they've done to her. I mean, they did just add her to Fortnite not too long ago. I did get the bundle, and she does look great. She looks like Lara Croft. She looks like the Lara Croft I think of when I hear Lara Croft. That's who that bundle is. Now, does that just mean that Fortnite saved her? No. But it does show that some people do know who the real Lara Croft is, and it's starting to show. People with the first Descendants, I know that's sort of taken a turn. A lot of people were kind of iffy on it, and now they're adding a lot of sexual themed stuff because it is starting to get to a point nowadays where people are wanting more adult stuff again. But there is a side of those people who want the more adult stuff to be too adult. I've heard some bad things about, or it could, like I said, There's always a 50-50 on each side. From what I hear of the first Descendants is that people do not like the over-sexuality in the game that they're currently pushing in it. I'm not seeing any nudity, or at least from what I've heard, so I'm not entirely sure why. Because we've had games over the last 30 to 40 years where someone has probably been in a bathing suit or something. Lara Croft has been in a bathing suit. I'm pretty sure it's an unlockable skin in one of the original games, and I'm pretty sure it's in Legends as well. Like, it's just the bathing suit where you can go throughout the Croft banner, you can go underwater, you go through the tunnels and stuff. It's just a little side outfit just to enjoy, not just entirely for people to wank the meat and then walk off the game. That's not what it's for. At least it's not what it's supposed to be for, which I think most game companies are wanting to try to do now, because they just see, oh, they want beautiful, hot women. Let's just go all in. Let's give them the full treat. And I don't think that's what they're meaning. We just want people to feel more like real people. I'm talking like no one note, half-assed dialogue stuff where it's just like, yeah, I'm a badass. I killed that monster over there, but she took my sister, and now I'm vengeful. And because I am a strong, independent person, I'm going to win, and I'm going to show this world that I'm more than meets the eye. Like, even just me saying that sounded stupid. What we want is people who have a real life-changing dilemma in which you, the person playing the character with in way better written dialogue, to feel what they feel. I don't want to be told what they feel. I want to feel what they feel. And I feel like that's just missing. And it's starting to come back. I mean, I love the new Daredevil Born Again. I've heard it had a terrible viewership compared to The Acolyte and The Marvels, which I can see why. We've gotten really bad movies and shows from Disney the last couple years. I'm not going to lie to you. It has all just been straight out garbage. But Daredevil Born Again's not exactly on the same, I guess, playing field to The Marvels and The Acolyte. I don't see that at all. I can see why people would think that because the viewership is low. Then again, this is a 9-episode series. We only have 3 episodes so far, so people are going to be cautious on what they want to watch and if they get attached to it. So I can see why it has a low score based on viewership, because we all thought The Acolyte was going to be good. We all thought the Marvel Disney Plus shows were going to be good, which some of them were until you get to about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it kind of starts dipping. Then you get to Miss Marvel. Then you get to Echo. Then you get to what else did they release that was just garbage? Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I already mentioned The Marvels, which I guess was a tie-in to Miss Marvel. And I heard Falcon and the Winter Soldier did not do good in the box offices, but I didn't hear it was on the same level. So I do maybe want to watch it at some point. Not theater, because I just don't see it worth it as a theater movie, unless they just actually catch my attention on something where it's like, yeah, I gotta see this no matter what. I didn't get that from Captain America Brave New World, so I'm not going to theaters to see it, but if it comes out on Disney Plus, yeah, I'll see it to see if was it worth the wait to just watch it on Disney Plus, or do you think it could have been better if I'd watched in theaters? That's the question I have, and what I hope I get answered when it does drop on Disney Plus. Or if it is and I just didn't know the whole time, then I might have to go watch it right after making this video if somebody lets me know when or if it is already on Disney Plus. Where was I going with this? I'm getting kind of lost, but let me just bring it back to the whole conclusion, and I'll just end the video here. We need good shows again. We need good writers. We need good people. We need good actors. We don't need people who just want to get hired on because it's like, guys, I just got caught by Marvel. This is awesome. I'm hopping on, and I'm gonna tell my whole life story to this character that people know from the comics that has nothing to do with me. I want them to know what I feel playing into this character. I don't care. just play the character that you're signing up for and do the best job that you can if you actually care about the character you're playing. Which I feel most of these people just don't care about who they're playing. They see the character, they see how big the name is in whether it's comics or media, and they're like, yeah, this is the perfect character to shove my ideology in because if people love this character, they're going to love me. And that's not going to work. It is definitely not going to work. Um, we just hire people that actually know what they're doing. And I mean that in a way of recently in video games and movies and television. You're not hiring the right people to get the job done. You're hiring people who have their own messages and stuff that they want to push, and then they take these roles without actually knowing who the character is or even care about them, and then completely changing the script and the story from what it probably originally was. Like I heard the Ray movie got canceled another time, which I'm assuming was probably that they probably actually, well, I don't want to say actually, but sometimes it could be true. They find the perfect script, they find the greatest story to at least be good enough that it's like, hey, I think people might actually enjoy this. Then you get into filming or making it, and then you've got your higher ups going like, I like the idea, but let's do this instead. Take this, move it over here, and let's shove this in here because we got another movie coming out in 2 years, and we need people to know about it. So can we shove this character in the background or have them do like a little 5 second thing with them and just make the whole focus, or in fact, make a whole episode about them and take the main character, put them on a side story, and let's just focus on someone they haven't heard of before but will know 2 years from now. I think people are going to love it. And then we got The Acolyte. And if you don't know who I'm talking about Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis is supposed to be one of the greatest villains in Star Wars lore, and they used him in such a shitty way that they were supposed to be using him for Season 2. Well, now we know that Season 2 of The Acolyte is not happening. And so that means that the whole Darth Plagueis thing is either going to be scrapped or retconned into something different. And that's why I hate new shows and new writers and all these companies changing good ideas into something that's just stupid. So I do hope we do get Darth Plagueis again at some point, but I hope we get him right. I hope we get the real Darth Plagueis, someone who's just like, yeah, this guy, do not want to mess with him. All we got was the man going like, peeking around the corner with his little fingers for a couple seconds, just as a little throwaway for a second season that we wouldn't have gotten for maybe like a year or a year and a half after if it was still getting shit on until at least the actress decided to post a diss track video to all of us, which was cringe as ever be. I couldn't stop laughing at it, and it showed it on this little, on this screen. Well, it showed it on my screen over here, but I just finished watching that part, and I can't stop laughing at just how she thought that was a good idea to be, at the time, a face of Star Wars that they figured was going to be big. Because I heard she was supposed to have like 5 other appearances in either movies or other TV shows, but that fell out. So they were hoping to make this chick a huge part of Star Wars. And she just decided that if people didn't like my show, screw them. Screw all of you. I'm going to make a diss track. You all suck. You are all bigotries. You don't like me because you don't like this show and you don't like my character and you don't like what we did to expand the story of Star Wars. For you, you don't appreciate what we did for you. So I'm going to drop a diss track, and while being a big name connected to the name of Star Wars, I'm going to drop this. And I'm going to talk so much crap about you right to your face, and I'm going to dance very cringy, and I'm going to hope that works. Yeah, that's going to show you bastards. That's going to show you all. And then we never heard from the Acolyte again, and I heard she's trying to sue Disney to get money. So is Leslie Stylin, saying that she's owed $11 million because they were supposed to get a second season, and now Bob Iger's saying that there was no deal for a second season. And it's just typical Disney shenanigans. Same as always. Same as next week, probably, with something else that'll be coming out. But, yeah, just a little rant I had. I'm actually starting to kind of like these. If you guys like these, or if you got any ideas of what I should be talking about, at least give me some pointers or ideas, or maybe something that you want to hear my idea on. I know most people probably will not like this video. Some people may agree with this video, and that's okay because we all have different opinions and we all have different likes and dislikes. And I just hope you all have a very fantastic day, and I hope to see you guys again someday. Bye.